Standing at the familiar gates of the Blackwood estate, Iris Carter felt a wave of dizziness. Exiled abroad for 4 years, she never thought she would have the chance to return to this country. She still remembered the words Ethan Blackwood had said when he put her on the plane all those years ago. "Iris Carter, from now on, you are not allowed to return without my permission." When she was 8, Iris's parents died in an accident. It was her father's friend, Ethan Blackwood, who took her home and raised her. When she was 18, Ethan accidentally discovered her diary. He saw the love she had hidden within its pages, a love she dared not show to anyone. Changing from his usual doting self, he stormed in, diary in hand, scolding her for disregarding their moral relationship and calling it utterly absurd. Iris didn't understand. They weren't related by blood, and he wasn't her real uncle. Why couldn't she like him? But he gave her no chance to explain, sending her straight to the U.S., where she stayed for 4 long years. It was over 7,000 miles away from the capital. So far, so very far. He had heartlessly banished her, and she, in turn, had finally let go of her love for him. Just as she was about to push the door open, her phone suddenly rang. Seeing the word "hubby" on the screen, she unconsciously smiled and pressed answer. "Iris, the wedding date is set for a month from now. Have you decided if you want to hold the wedding in the capital or back here in the U.S.?" Spencer Sullivan's warm voice came from the other end of the line, making her feel inexplicably at ease. Iris thought for a moment and replied, "The U.S. All right, I'll start the preparations." His voice remained gentle. He paused, then added, "Remember to tell your Uncle Ethan now that you're back. Ask him to attend our wedding." "MHM," Iris responded sweetly. They exchanged a few more words before she reluctantly hung up. When she was hastily sent to the U.S. years ago, the language and lifestyle were completely foreign. Adapting was hard enough, but she also encountered chaotic shootings and riots several times, nearly losing her life in dangerous situations. In her panic, she had dialed Ethan's number, begging him to take her home. But call after call was met with hang-up after hang-up. Even the messages she sent sank like stones into the ocean. If Spencer hadn't appeared in time to save her, perhaps she would have died in one of those chaotic incidents. After getting to know each other, they discovered they were alumni of the same university, and their bond began there. Later, after 2 years of his courtship, Iris was finally moved and accepted his confession. After graduation, Spencer immediately proposed, and she agreed. It was only then that Ethan finally contacted her on his own initiative, allowing her to return to pay respects to her parents. She also came back to deliver the invitation, to tell him that she was getting married soon. She entered the passcode and was about to go in when the door was opened from the inside. "Irie, you're back. Long time no see. I thought I heard your voice outside." Vanessa Grant opened the door, smiling as she greeted her. Seeing Iris standing frozen in place, she added, "Don't you remember me?" Iris blinked. After a long moment, she finally recognized the face strange yet familiar. Nightmarish memories reawakened, and long-buried fear swept over her. Her limbs went stiff, her back turned cold, and her eyes were filled with shock. "Why are you here?" Just as the words fell, Ethan Blackwood walked out. The man was tall and slender, as aloof and noble as ever. Seeing her reaction, Ethan frowned in displeasure and said in a deep voice, "You should call her Aunt Nessa." "Aunt Nessa? Why her? She used to." Before the words "bullied me" could leave her mouth, Ethan interrupted her. Used to what? She remembered the past. When she first arrived in the U.S., life was incredibly difficult. In the dead of night, unwilling to give up, she tried every method to get news of him. The final news she received was that he had a girlfriend and was spoiling her to the heavens. Fireworks filling the sky for her birthday, 99.99 roses flown in for Valentine's Day, spending millions at auctions just to make his girlfriend smile. He gave all the tenderness he once showed only to Iris to his new girlfriend. She cried alone in the dark, enduring the bone-chilling pain, surviving difficult night after night, until she finally accepted that he loved someone else. But she never expected that the person who replaced her would be Vanessa Grant, the girl who had bullied her in school. Seeing his clearly protective stance, Iris opened her mouth, but ultimately shook her head and whispered hoarsely, "Nothing." "If it's nothing, then come inside. Since you're finally back, settle down. Don't harbor those old thoughts anymore. Your parents' death anniversary is coming up. I'll go with you to pay respects then." Nessa is moving in today too. Go unpack your things. You need to get along well with Nessa from now on." With that, he put his arm around Vanessa and walked away from the villa. Watching their retreating figures, Iris could only smile bitterly. After a long time, she murmured softly, "There is no, from now on, Uncle Ethan. After visiting my parents, I'm leaving here for good." It was already evening when Ethan and Vanessa returned. Unpacking the countless bags lasted late into the night. Iris stood at Ethan's door with her wedding invitation. After building up her courage for a long time, she gently knocked. The door opened from the inside, but the person who appeared wasn't Ethan. Vanessa looked at her, the smile on her lips full of malice. "What? Haven't seen him in years and want to catch up?" Iris's body stiffened. Countless nightmarish memories flooded her mind. She instinctively turned to flee, but her arm was grabbed. "I'm warning you, keep your mouth shut. Don't even think about telling Ethan about the past." The threatening voice whispered in her ear. Iris forcibly suppressed her fear and retorted, "Do you think those things can be hidden forever just because I don't speak? One day, Uncle Ethan will see your true colors." Unexpectedly, hearing this, Vanessa showed no fear. Instead, she became even more smug. "Shall we wait and see? I could torment you to near death years ago, and I can do the same now." Before Iris could react, Vanessa picked up a glass of hot milk from the side and splashed it violently onto herself. The moment the scream rang out, Ethan rushed out of the study in a panic. He held Vanessa, who lay in his arms, crying pitifully. "Ethan, don't blame Irie. Iris Carter, I thought 4 years abroad would have ended those feelings, which is why I allowed you back. I didn't expect you to be so stubborn. I'll say this one last time, some things are impossible. You won't get what you want by playing tricks." His blunt reprimand made Iris instantly understand. He thought she had intentionally splashed Vanessa because she still hadn't given up on him. She quickly explained, "I didn't, you misunderstood. I came to give you a wedding invite," but before she could finish, Ethan had already picked up Vanessa and walked away. Watching his back, Iris's eyes filled with desolation. She laughed at herself self-deprecatingly and finished her sentence into the empty air. "I came to give you a wedding invitation. I don't love you anymore, Uncle Ethan. I'm getting married." Ethan didn't return until the next morning. Iris had just finished breakfast. Seeing him return, she prepared to explain what happened yesterday, but he grabbed her hand without a word and walked out. The car sped along and finally stopped at the hospital entrance. Ethan still didn't let go. He dragged her all the way to Vanessa's hospital bed before speaking his first sentence of the day. "Apologize to Nessa." Iris pressed her lips together and didn't respond, making her resistance crystal clear. "Why should I apologize for something I didn't do?" Seeing Iris turn her head away and refuse to admit fault, Ethan's eyes filled with disappointment. Neither was willing to yield first. Eventually, Vanessa smoothed things over. "It's okay, Irie is still young. Maybe she just hasn't adapted to seeing someone else beside the uncle who used to dote on her the most. She's just throwing a childish tantrum. She's only a year younger than you. Besides, she's an adult now. What's young about her?" Her seemingly normal persuasion sounded different to his ears, making his expression even uglier. He looked back at Iris, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Apologize immediately." The explanation on the tip of her tongue was swallowed whole. She looked at his dark expression. He had clearly already decided it was her fault. She opened her mouth, suddenly feeling exhausted. She didn't want to continue this meaningless argument. Perhaps falling in love with her guardian was indeed a heinous mistake. That's why, no matter what happened later in Ethan's heart, she was no longer trustworthy. His subconscious default was that it was her fault. "I'm sorry." After a long stalemate, Iris finally relented. Ethan should have been happy, but seeing her mood suddenly plummet, he felt a strange discomfort. She didn't care what he thought anymore, considering the matter closed after the apology. Iris didn't want to stay here and be an obstacle between them, so she made a random excuse and turned to leave the ward. "I'm going to the restroom." Cold water splashed on her face, easing the frustration in her heart. She looked at herself in the mirror and pursed her lips. People are always biased toward those they care about more. Ethan was no exception. Just like he was with her in the past and with Vanessa now, that was fine. Thinking this, she turned to leave the restroom. Just as she reached the door, she found him standing not far away, seemingly waiting for her. She was about to walk past him when Ethan suddenly spoke. Nessa wants wontons from Leo's dumplings. I have to stay with her. You go buy them and bring them here. After a moment of silence, Iris didn't refuse. As she brushed past him, his voice sounded again, carrying an inexplicable implication. I'm going to marry Nessa. You'd better put away those little thoughts of yours. Hearing this, her footsteps paused, but she didn't look back. Don't worry, I've already let go. In a month, I will. I hope you do as you say. Ethan interrupted her abruptly before she could finish, then turned and walked away. Before he got far, Iris suddenly called out to him. Do you like Vanessa that much? We're the same age. Why is she acceptable, but I'm not? Yes. Ethan looked back, a warning look sweeping over her. Anyone else would be acceptable, except you don't say such things again. She nodded obediently. Understood. I won't do it again. The hospital was on the east side, and Leo's Dumplings was on the west side. Because of its reputation, not only was it a long trip, but the line was also long. Iris waited a long time before finally buying a portion and rushing back to the hospital. She returned to the hospital out of breath and handed the dumplings to Vanessa. However, Vanessa took one bite and tossed the container into the trash with a look of disgust. The wontons are cold. They don't taste good at all. Forget it, Irie. Why don't you go buy me a cupcake from Magnolia Bakery? Speechless, Iris turned to meet Ethan's gaze. After a long while, she nodded. Okay. Magnolia Bakery was closer than Leo's, but the hassle was about the same. When she finally bought it and returned, Vanessa once again took a tiny bite and set it aside. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I don't like this flavor. Just like that, Iris ran back and forth all afternoon until Vanessa finally stopped finding faults. Fortunately, after that day, Ethan didn't ask Iris to go to the hospital again. Avoiding the hospital meant avoiding Vanessa's torment, until Vanessa recovered from her injury. On the day she was discharged, as soon as she returned home, she knocked directly on Iris's door. The class president organized a reunion. Why don't you come along? Iris was about to refuse when Vanessa smilingly pulled Ethan over, acting somewhat coquettish. Don't be in such a hurry to refuse. It's so boring staying home all day. Ethan already agreed to accompany me. We haven't seen anyone since graduation. Come on, just come and have fun. Ethan, having been dragged over, looked helpless but didn't expose her act of deciding first and asking later. Instead, he looked at her dotingly. When he turned to look at Iris, all that tenderness vanished, leaving only cold words. Nessa is doing this for your own good. Don't make things difficult for her. Iris forced the corners of her mouth up, suppressing the bitterness and self-mockery in her heart, and nodded in agreement. The reunion was held at the most famous bar in the capital. When Vanessa walked in arm with Ethan Blackwood, the crowd erupted in gasps. Iris, following behind them, was completely ignored. However, this suited her just fine. Iris sat in a corner, watching Vanessa sit in the spotlight, enjoying Ethan's meticulous care. Juice specially selected in her favorite flavor, a jacket draped over her shoulders the moment she felt a chill. And the line, since Nessa is happy, I'm paying for everything tonight. A wave of envious voices immediately filled the private room. Vanessa, your boyfriend treats you so well. I've seen him on TV, he's the CEO of Blackwood Group. I can't believe you got President Blackwood to come to a gathering like ours. Seeing Mr. Blackwood on TV, I always thought he was cold and unapproachable. Seeing him today, I realized that even the untouchable aristocrat becomes gentle as water in front of his beloved. Of course. In the years Vanessa and Mr. Blackwood have been together, haven't all their dates been high profile? I just wonder when I'll meet a boyfriend like that. Amidst the chatter, someone boldly asked loudly, Vanessa, you and Mr. Blackwood are so loving. When do you plan to get married? You have to invite us to the wedding. Vanessa blushed at the question and tugged at Ethan's sleeve. He subconsciously glanced at Iris in the corner, only to see her head down, drinking her juice, minding her own business. His eyes darkened slightly, but he quickly returned to normal, looking down at Vanessa with a doting smile. Soon, we're already preparing for the wedding. As his words fell, congratulations erupted again. Suddenly, someone suggested playing a game. A group gathered around the table and dragged Iris over from the corner, urging her to bring Ethan too. She shook her head and explained, Uncle Ethan never plays these games. Hearing this, Vanessa looked at him. Just for me, Ethan, come join us. It's more fun with more people. As soon as she spoke, Iris saw Ethan nod. The first round ended quickly. The loser was Ethan. He turned over the penalty card. A line of small text came into everyone's view. Kiss a member of the opposite sex present for 1 minute. Vanessa's cheeks flushed red. He smiled, and without hesitation, amidst the crowd's cheering, he pulled Vanessa into his arms and kissed her deeply. If the old Iris had seen this, she would have been heartbroken. But now, having long let go of those feelings, she had no reaction. She even clapped along with the others. The minute passed quickly. The loser of the second round was Iris. Her penalty was to show the number pinned at the top of her contact list. She calmly opened her phone contacts. Everyone's eyes were drawn to the name at the very top hubby. Someone exclaimed in surprise, "Irie, when did you get a husband? Why haven't we heard about you getting married?" She smiled and explained, "It's a recent thing. Everyone is welcome to the wedding reception when the time comes." After speaking, Iris put her phone away. Her gaze suddenly collided with Ethan's. His eyes were dark and heavy, but he said nothing. It wasn't until she left halfway through to go to the restroom that she ran into a grim-faced Ethan in the corridor. What is the meaning of this? Is marriage something to joke about? Iris knew he was asking about the marriage, so she didn't hide anything. "I'm not joking. Besides visiting my parents, I came back this time to tell you I'm getting married. Uncle Ethan, if you are willing, please be my witness and testify to the love between my husband and me." Witness. Testify to their love? Every word felt like it was infuriating him to the point of laughter. Perhaps because her words seemed so ridiculous, he stopped looking so angry and instead looked at her with amusement. "Fine, you want to get married? Call your husband. Let him tell me personally about this marriage." Seeing him relentless, she obediently dialed the number. After a long ringing tone, the automatic disconnect signal played. "There's a time difference with the US. He's probably sleeping," Iris explained honestly. Ethan sneered. "Once a lie is exposed, don't keep acting. It just looks pathetic. Iris, don't joke about these things in the future." With that, he turned and walked away. Just as Ethan's figure disappeared around the corner, Spencer Sullivan called back. She picked up. His voice still carried a trace of sleepiness. "Sorry, Irie, I was sleeping just now and missed your call. Is something wrong?" She looked at the retreating back and sighed softly. It wasn't the right time to chase after him and explain. So she shook her head. "No, I disturbed your rest." On the other end, Spencer was fully awake now. He laughed gently. "Irie, you know that any time you reach out to me, it's never a disturbance. By the way, the wedding preparations are underway. I remember you mentioned you designed a wedding dress for yourself years ago. Are you bringing it back? Will you wear that one for the wedding?" Iris pondered for a moment, then hummed a yes. "Okay." The next day, Iris didn't see Ethan or Vanessa when she went downstairs. She didn't mind. After a simple breakfast, she went out alone to the bridal shop. The shop assistant led her to the exhibition area and took down the wedding dress in the very center. The pure white dress hung quietly on the mannequin. She took it and changed into it. Looking at herself in the floor-to-ceiling mirror, she felt dazed for a moment. Years ago, she had sketched this dress full of love, always fantasizing about wearing it to marry Ethan Blackwood. Now that she was wearing it again, the person she was marrying had long since changed. "Irie, what are you doing here?" A familiar voice rang out from behind her. She turned around to see a surprised Vanessa and Ethan. Behind them trailed Vanessa's group of friends. She lowered her head and explained, "I'm getting married. I ordered a dress here before, and I came to pick it up today." "You're really getting married? I thought you were joking." Vanessa's face was still full of surprise. Beside her, Ethan's face darkened, and he spoke unhappily. "Of course it's a joke. Who would she marry and where?" She lowered her eyes helplessly and explained again, "It's true." Her explanation was cut off by his stern voice. "Saying something once is enough. Again and again, is this amusing to you?" Iris didn't understand why his reaction to her marriage was so intense. She didn't want to explain anymore. Just as she was about to leave and ask the staff to pack the dress, Vanessa suddenly looked at the gown she was wearing, her face showing amazement. "Since it's just a joke, Irie, can you let me have this dress? I really like the design." Iris paused and instinctively shook her head to refuse. Ethan was already frowning. "You don't need a wedding dress anyway. Since Nessa likes it, give the dress to Nessa." Iris pursed her lips, showing no sign of backing down. Seeing his aura becoming increasingly dark, Vanessa quickly intervened. All right, you wait outside for me. Let me talk to Irie alone. We girls talk easier amongst ourselves. Hearing this, he was silent for a moment before finally choosing to leave. Watching Vanessa walk slowly towards her with a smile, Iris suddenly remembered the various scenes of bullying in high school. Alarm bells rang in her heart. She instinctively tried to leave, but her hair was violently grabbed. The next second, the sound of continuous slaps rang out. The burning pain on her cheeks made her feel for a moment like she was back in high school. In her forced upward gaze, only Vanessa's sneering face remained. Strip that dress off her for me. As soon as the words fell, the group of friends swarmed her. Endless fear and trauma returned. Iris breathed rapidly, her whole body trembling. She even forgot to resist, only curling herself into a ball, trying desperately to protect her clothing with a pale face. But how could she fight so many people alone? The wedding dress was forcibly stripped off. The cold air seeped into her bones, but her wretched state still didn't satisfy Vanessa. As if suddenly remembering something, Vanessa took out her phone and started taking pictures of Iris, muttering as she did. Such a scandalous scene must be recorded, don't you agree, girls? No. Her trembling plea didn't soften Vanessa's heart. Instead, it made her take pictures with even more enthusiasm. It wasn't until a phone ringtone finally interrupted her amusement. Seeing Ethan on the screen, she answered, her voice instantly becoming sickly sweet. Ethan, what's wrong? Did she agree? Ethan's deep voice came through. Vanessa glanced at Iris sideways and smiled triumphantly. Don't worry, Irie is very easy to talk to. After some persuasion, she agreed to let me have the dress. She walked out with her friends while talking on the phone. Only after all her people had left did Iris finally calm down and ask the shop assistant, who had been hiding aside, to bring her clothes. Leaving the bridal shop, she didn't go home. Instead, taking the surveillance footage the assistant pulled for her, she went straight to the police station and filed a report. However, she didn't expect that as soon as she arrived home, she would receive a message from the police saying the case she just filed had been withdrawn. Startled, she quickly called back. Miss Carter, a man claiming to be your uncle came by just now. He said it was all a misunderstanding, so we dropped the case. Hearing the word uncle, she couldn't believe it. It wasn't until the person on the phone reassured her repeatedly that they hadn't misheard that she finally believed it. Hanging up the phone, she smiled self-deprecatingly. Not long after, Ethan pushed the door open and entered. His first sentence was an accusation. Just for a dress, you actually called the police? Yeah, Irie, you clearly agreed to give it to me before. Why did you regret it so quickly? Vanessa, following behind him, looked full of grievance. Iris didn't respond to her but stared fixedly at Ethan, her voice trembling. Just a dress. Uncle Ethan, did you watch the surveillance footage? Do you know how she took that dress from me? His face was full of impatience, and his answer was like a sharp blade piercing straight into her chest. I don't need to watch it. If you want to stay here, you have to get along with Nessa. A single sentence felt like a pair of invisible hands tearing her heart to shreds. Right, Vanessa was his fiancée now. Naturally, everything about Vanessa came first. Why would she be delusional enough to think he would stand on her side? Her eyes reddened. She laughed at herself, then shook her head at him. No need. I won't stay here, and I don't need to get along with her. I'm getting married soon. With that, Iris stopped looking at Ethan's dark face and left his scolding behind her. In the middle of the night, Iris tossed and turned in bed. As the night deepened, she woke up thirsty and groggily went downstairs for water. After drinking and returning, just as she was about to lie down, she suddenly realized something was wrong. Her sleepiness vanished instantly. She looked around carefully. The unfamiliar layout stunned her. After a long while, she realized she had entered the wrong room. She had stumbled into the room Ethan never allowed her to enter. Panic-stricken, she tried to leave. Looking back, her gaze was caught by a string of prayer beads hanging on the wall. Her breath hitched. She felt like she had been struck by lightning, unable to believe her eyes. Why were these prayer beads here? The first time Iris saw these prayer beads was at her parents' funeral. When Ethan Blackwood came to take her back to the Blackwood estate, honoring the dying wish of Iris's parents, he was wearing these beads on his wrist. She didn't know where the beads came from. She only knew Ethan wore them constantly, almost never taking them off. When she was 18, her heart began to stir. Her mind was full of love for Ethan that she couldn't express. So that day, she did the boldest thing in her life while he was sound asleep. Iris stole the prayer beads. In the dim room, she placed the cool beads against the most intimate part of a young girl's body, arriving at an ultimate climax under the warm, smooth touch. The familiar scent of sandalwood lingered in her nose. In her trance, it felt as if she were being embraced by him, until a sharp shout suddenly descended. "What are you doing?" The blood in her body instantly flowed backward. She turned around stiffly and saw Ethan Blackwood holding the diary where she had written her hidden desires. Upon seeing what she was doing below, his face turned completely pale. That day ended with the beads being ruthlessly thrown into the trash can and her being sent out of the country overnight. They were thrown away. How could they be? Hidden here by him so carefully? She didn't know why this was happening. Since she couldn't figure it out, she decided not to think about it. Regardless of the reason, they both had their own lives now. Tonight, she would pretend she had never been to this place. The next day, Iris went to the Blackwood family manor. As soon as she entered, she saw Mr. and Mrs. Blackwood SR, who had received the news, waiting at the door. Seeing her return, smiles appeared on their faces. After greetings, the elders pulled her to sit beside them and began chatting about daily life. "Haven't seen you in years, Iris. You've grown up so much. Ethan has raised you well?" The satisfaction in Mr. Blackwood's voice was obvious, but Iris just smiled. The Ethan of the past treated her very well indeed. She lost her parents, so he took on the responsibility of caring for her. She didn't dare express her preferences, so he figured them out bit by bit, then brought everything she liked to her. When she was called a jinx who cursed her parents, he helped her retaliate against those who bullied her, holding her and whispering that Iris would always be Uncle Ethan's little lucky star. When she was sick with a high fever, he stayed by her side all night, taking care of her without sleep. But all his doting and tenderness stopped on that day when she was 18. Mrs. Blackwood held her hand affectionately and chatted for a while. Somehow, the topic shifted to marriage. "Iris is 22 this year, right? You can start dating now. Do you want us to introduce a few young men to you?" Iris quickly waved her hands. Seeing the elders' confusion, she hurriedly explained, "I have a boyfriend. We're getting married very soon. Besides paying respects to my parents, I came back this time to tell you about this." "Getting married already? Good, good. Do you have photos? Let us have a look." Hearing this, Mr. and Mrs. Blackwood were pleasantly surprised and asked for photos. Iris smiled and nodded, finding photos in her phone gallery and scrolling through them one by one for them. After looking, both elders were full of praise. "This young man is nice. He looks like a good kid." Mentioning Spencer, Iris unconsciously curved her eyes into a smile. "He really treats me very well." While they were talking, the gate of the Blackwood Manor opened again. The three instinctively turned to look and saw Ethan walking in with Vanessa. Seeing them chatting happily, he asked subconsciously, "What are you talking about? So happy?" "We're talking about Iris's wedding. Come look, Iris's husband is quite handsome." Unlike the joy of his parents, hearing this, Ethan's face suddenly darkened. "Iris Carter, what exactly are you trying to do? Acting in front of me isn't enough. Now you're acting in front of my parents too." The sudden anger confused both Mr. and Mrs. Blackwood. "Acting? What acting?" "Uncle, Auntie, Ethan and I came specifically to see you today." Vanessa quickly tugged at his sleeve, helping him change the subject. However, her attempt to curry favor did not win the elders' hearts. Mrs. Blackwood's face turned cold upon hearing her voice. Mr. Blackwood frowned and scoffed directly. "I told you, don't bring her to see me in the future." Ethan's expression wasn't much better. His voice was cold. "Father, Mother, I have decided. Whether you agree or not, I am definitely going to marry her." Ethan's rebellious words instantly infuriated his father, who laid down a harsh ultimatum. "You can marry her if you want, but we won't acknowledge her. You don't need to come back to see us in the future." Ethan looked down at Vanessa, who was on the verge of tears, not wanting to stay any longer. He heard these words and simply took her hand, leaving the old mansion directly. "Ethan has always given us peace of mind growing up. Look at what people outside say about him, the son of heaven, the most outstanding heir. Everything about him is good, so why is he so blind when it comes to finding a partner?" Watching his figure disappear behind the door, Mrs. Blackwood couldn't help but sigh, pulling Iris into her ramblings. Mr. Blackwood snorted coldly, his words full of dissatisfaction with Vanessa. That woman looks manipulative. When he first brought her home years ago, we didn't think much of it, just thought as long as he liked her. Who knew that Vanessa Grant pretends to be obedient in front of people, but behind the scenes, if a servant accidentally bumps into her, she beats and scolds them. I don't know why Ethan is so set on her. Is it just because she has a pretty face? But he isn't that superficial. Iris listened quietly without answering. Maybe it really was because he loved her too much, so as long as it was her, no other problem was a problem. A servant standing nearby sighed and couldn't help looking at Iris. Maybe it really is because she's too pretty. If you look closely, that Miss Grant's eyes look somewhat similar to our Miss Iris's. The speaker meant nothing by it, but the listener took it to heart. Iris felt a strange sensation rise within her. It was as if something flashed past her eyes, fleeting, leaving nothing behind. With no time to think deeply, Iris stood up to say goodbye to the elders. Seeing her leave, Mr. and Mrs. Blackwood were extremely reluctant. "Why leave so soon, Iris? When will you come back to see us?" She was silent for a long time before barely managing a smile. "I'll be settling down in the US from now on. I might not come back." When walking out of the Blackwood Manor, Ethan's car was still parked outside. Vanessa's face was full of smiles. Presumably, he had coaxed her for a long time. Seeing Iris come out, he lowered the window, his cold voice following. "Get in. I can go back myself." Iris didn't want to be caught in the middle of them and instinctively refused. But his voice became increasingly undeniable. "Don't make me say it a second time." After a silent standoff, Iris finally got into the car. Through the rearview mirror, she happened to see Vanessa's slightly red eyes. For some reason, the servant's words rang in Iris's mind again. "If you look closely, Miss Grant's eyes look somewhat similar to our Miss Iris's." She had never noticed before, so she unconsciously observed carefully. Looking now, she realized with a start they really were quite similar. Her staring made Vanessa uncomfortable. Vanessa picked up a small mirror to check herself, looking puzzled. "Is my makeup bad today? Why do you keep staring at my eyes?" Hearing this, Ethan's heart skipped a beat. A faint panic arose, and he quickly changed the subject. "No, you look beautiful. By the way, didn't you say you were interested in rubies a while ago? A 15-carat ruby appeared at a recent auction. I bought it. It's in my pocket. See if you like it." "Really?" Hearing this, Vanessa instantly cheered up, forgetting the topic just now. The car drove into the villa amidst their chat. They got out, but Ethan deliberately lagged a few steps behind. Iris, walking at the back, brushed past him. His low voice, carrying an inexplicable chill, reached her ears. "Why did you go to my parents today to talk about those things?" Iris paused and looked back at him. "I just felt that something as big as marriage needed to be told to them." Hearing her still persisting in her delusion, Ethan felt a surge of anger. He grabbed her hand and walked towards the family chapel, then applied force, forcing Iris to kneel before the altar. "Since you are so stubborn, kneel here and reflect properly. Come out only when you decide to stop lying." With that, he turned and left, giving her no chance to explain. Iris sighed softly but didn't stand up to leave. Just consider it repaying his years of upbringing. She knelt for a day and a night. When the closed doors of the chapel opened, it was already the next day. Ethan stood outside, his face still grim. "Have you realized your mistake? Don't mention the word marriage again." She remained silent for only a moment. This time, she didn't avoid it. "I will still say it. After all, I really am getting married." Due to kneeling for so long, the dull pain in her knees made walking difficult. Staggering back to her room, the first thing she did was pack. When Ethan rushed to catch up, he saw Iris walking out holding a cardboard box. Looking closely, the box was filled with things he had given her in the past. His heart skipped a beat. When he spoke again, his voice carried a panic even he didn't notice. "What are you doing? Throwing things away?" In contrast to him, she was calm. "Clearing out our memories. Isn't this what Uncle Ethan wants to see the most? I am doing exactly as you wish." After finishing her sentence, she walked past him. With her movement, everything in the box was dumped into the trash can. After throwing the things away, she turned and walked back to her room. Having not slept all night, Iris felt incredibly drowsy. She lay directly on the soft bed and fell into a deep sleep before long. But she didn't expect that when she woke up, the things she had thrown away had been put back into the box and placed at her door. Did Ethan pick them back up? While she was lost in thought, Vanessa happened to pass by. She rummaged through the box with fresh curiosity. "Oh, what's this? This bear is so cute. I want it too. Can I?" "This one too." Iris simply gave the entire box to Vanessa. After giving the things away, she looked up and saw Ethan, his face green with rage and eyes full of fire. She ignored him, turned back to her room, and slept until the sky went dark. After that, as if showing off, Ethan and Vanessa became more and more intimate. To avoid seeing them, Iris barely went out, until Vanessa's birthday. The party was held at the most luxurious hotel in the capital. There were many guests, but the most eye-catching were Vanessa and Ethan. Soon it was time for gifts. Ethan took out the diamond ring he had prepared long ago. It was a 10-carat pink diamond ring. In front of everyone, he personally put it on her finger. "Nessa, I had this ring custom made for you. It's called Devotion to Nessa. It means I love you." Hearing this, Vanessa blushed immediately, and envious voices rose all around. "I heard this ring is worth over $10 million. President Blackwood really spares no expense to make a beauty smile. I used to hear that President Blackwood was unapproachable, but he finally seems human after dating Miss Grant. Sure enough, in front of a beloved, cost is nothing. Miss Grant is so lucky to meet a devoted and handsome fiancé like President Blackwood." The surrounding compliments perfectly satisfied Vanessa's vanity. She looked provocatively at Iris not far away and asked with feigned curiosity, "It's my birthday today. I wonder what gift Irie has prepared?" Iris looked calm and handed over the gift box in her hand. Inside lay a jade pendant. It was something she had pestered Ethan for when she was a child. She remembered him smiling helplessly back then. "This is for my future wife. I can't give it to you. Pick something else, okay?" Relying on his doting, she refused to let go. Later, he compromised as expected. "All right, behave, don't cry. Here, take it. You little ancestor, keep it safe for a lifetime." Now the timing was right. She used this occasion to return it to its owner. Ethan obviously remembered that past event. Seeing her give it away so easily now, his heart shook violently, and his expression changed rapidly. "Iris Carter, what is the meaning of this?" Hearing the questioning voice, she smiled gently and calmly. "It means I wish you two a harmonious union forever." With that, she turned and walked away, never looking back. The day she left was the death anniversary of Iris's parents. Ethan kept his promise and accompanied Iris to the cemetery. Having not paid respects for 4 years, Iris's eyes felt sore. Standing before the grave, she was momentarily speechless. After a long while, she finally spoke slowly about her life abroad these years. At the end, she smiled. "Mom, Dad, don't worry. I'm living well now, and I've found my home. He's a very good person and treats me very well. He takes care of me when I'm sick, stays with me when I'm scared, and encourages me when I'm down. We're getting married soon." She rambled on about the past. Ethan stood not far away. The word married hovered in his ears, and the panic and irritation in his heart grew stronger. Until finally, he couldn't bear it anymore and suddenly interrupted her. "Enough," Iris paused. She stood up, turned to look at him, and asked knowingly, "Enough what? Uncle Ethan, do you want to say a few words to my parents too? You go ahead then, I'm mostly done chatting." Her counter question left him speechless for a moment. Ethan didn't know why he reacted so strongly. He was just suddenly very irritable. Iris wasn't like this before. Every year on this anniversary when he came with her, she would chatter like this too, but back then, 8 out of 10 sentences were about him. Now, everything she said was about another person. It's just a fake marriage. Where did she fabricate so many details from? The panic in his heart became more obvious. He forcibly suppressed it. "I'll wait for you in the car." With that, he walked far away. Immediately after, Iris's phone rang. She pressed answer, and Spencer's voice came through. "Irie, have you finished paying respects to Uncle and Auntie?" "Finished," she replied softly. "I plan to come back today." Spencer hummed, his tone gentle. "What time is the flight?" "Send me the flight number. I'll pick you up. Also, the wedding is almost ready. Remember to tell Uncle Ethan to come to our wedding." "I know." Hanging up the phone, Iris walked down the mountain in silence. Ethan sat in the car smoking silently, his sharp profile shrouded in smoke, looking somewhat lonely. Seeing her appear, he put out the cigarette. Just as he was about to speak, she beat him to it. "Uncle Ethan, I'm getting married tomorrow. I've bought the ticket to return to the US. About asking you to be the witness, have you decided whether to accept?" Seeing her mention marriage again, the anger he had just suppressed surged up again. Just as he was about to explode, the phone in his pocket suddenly rang. It was Vanessa. Whatever was said on the other end caused his expression to change slightly. A few seconds later, he hung up and looked at Iris. "Nessa sprained her ankle while shopping. I have to take her to the hospital. It's not on the way home, so take a taxi back yourself." Before the car started, he looked at Iris again. "I hope that was the last time I hear those words." With that, the car sped away without looking back. Iris watched the speeding vehicle and sighed deeply. This was indeed the last time, because she was leaving today. And she wouldn't be coming back. The cemetery was remote, and Iris couldn't get a taxi. She had to walk all the way back. It was 4 hours later when she finally returned to the villa. Sharp pain came from the soles of her feet. Just a casual glance revealed her feet were covered in bloody blisters. But because walking back had consumed so much time, she had no time to attend to her bleeding feet. She hurriedly went upstairs, took her packed luggage, and walked out of the villa. Before leaving, she placed the wedding invitation on the table, transferred a sum of money to Ethan, and sent a message. "Uncle Ethan, this money is the upbringing fee I saved. Thank you for taking care of me all these years. The invitation is on the table. You can come to my wedding tomorrow or not. I'm leaving. Goodbye." After sending the message, she reached out and hailed a car. The taxi sped toward the airport and soon disappeared into the traffic, leaving no trace. On the other side, Ethan rushed into the hospital carrying Vanessa, but his eyelids suddenly twitched violently. That feeling of panic struck again. The sound of his violent heartbeat seemed to explode in his ears. He couldn't say where this uneasiness came from. Assuming he was overthinking, running up and down, he didn't have time to dwell on it. Only when he stood beside Vanessa and the doctor fell silent looking at her ankle did he finally have time to check his phone. There were only 2 new messages from Iris. He clicked to view them and instantly froze in place. 2 messages, 1 transfer 1. Farewell, like a thunderbolt striking down, his mind went completely blank, leaving only those glaring words hovering before his eyes. Upbringing fee? Leaving? What did upbringing fee mean? Where was she going? Countless thoughts flashed through his mind. Ethan instinctively wanted to go find her and ask clearly. Vanessa sensed his distraction and seemed ready to turn away, her face instantly transforming into a tearful look. "Ethan." The doctor aside watched in amazement but kept a straight face. After looking at the CT scans sent over and touching her injured area, he finally reached a conclusion. No major problem. If you had brought her in a bit later, it would have healed itself. At these words, the expression on Vanessa's face froze instantly. Ethan was also stunned and instinctively asked, "What do you mean?" The doctor smiled and pointed to the door. "It means there is no injury. You can go home." Ethan looked down at Vanessa, taking in the panic on her face. In that instant, what was there not to understand? He forcibly suppressed the anger in his heart, his thin lips pressed tight, silent. A terrifyingly low pressure surrounded him. Seeing him turn to leave, Vanessa panicked, not understanding why he was so angry over her faking a sprain just once. But clearly, the current Ethan wouldn't give her an answer. Ignoring the pretense of being weak, she hurried to catch up. "Ethan, Ethan, wait for me," leaving her shouts behind, he slammed the car door shut with a bang. It took a long time for his anger to subside. Vanessa caught up breathlessly at this moment, her face full of grievance. "Ethan, what's wrong with you?" As her soft body leaned in, his heart held no romantic thoughts, only the message Iris had just sent. The car roared to life. Vanessa's question received no answer. Her face stiffened for a moment. Seeing his terrible mood, she didn't dare pester him further. Not long after, the two returned to the villa together. Pushing the door open, apart from the servants working as usual, there was no sign of anyone else. "Where is Miss Carter?" He stopped a servant and asked casually. The servant thought for a moment, recalling Iris leaving hurriedly with a suitcase not long ago, and answered with head bowed. "Miss Carter came back half an hour ago, went upstairs to get her luggage, and left. She isn't home, did she not tell you, sir?" Half an hour ago, Ethan was stunned. They spent nearly 4 hours at the hospital. How could she have been back only half an hour? He voiced his question. The servant knew they went to the cemetery today after all. Since she was 9, they went every year on this day, so she didn't hide it from him. It seems Miss Carter couldn't get a taxi and walked back. Her feet were covered in blood blisters. Mrs. Lynn said to treat the wounds first, but Miss wouldn't agree, saying there wasn't enough time. Another heavy blow. Ethan felt a suffocating tightness in his chest. Vanessa, listening on the side, secretly rejoiced. That fool actually walking back, but she dared not show her inner thoughts. On the surface, she looked worried inside. Why did Irie torture herself like that? No matter what, she shouldn't gamble with her own body. If Ethan had heard this in the past, he would inevitably have flown into a rage. But at this moment, he suddenly fell silent and ignored her. Vanessa felt that Ethan was acting strange lately. From the day they defined their relationship, his attitude toward her had been exceptionally doting. The arguments and fights unavoidable for other couples never appeared between them. No matter how excessive her requests, he tried his best to fulfill them. His goodness to her was known to everyone in the capital. But lately, she felt he was strange, especially regarding Iris. A sense of weirdness arose spontaneously, but she had nowhere to ask. Over there, Ethan had walked away to make a call. Vaguely, Vanessa only heard him asking someone to investigate where Iris had gone. Unease and panic rose from the bottom of her heart. Vanessa felt things were speeding in a direction beyond her control, yet she was powerless. Ethan was equally messily anxious, feeling something very important was leaving him. While waiting for his assistant's reply, the sound of pacing filled the living room. He walked back and forth anxiously, sending urging messages again and again. Fortunately, Iris hadn't thought to hide her tracks. The assistant soon sent the information to Ethan. Seeing the flight with the U.S. as the destination, his heart still couldn't settle. 4 years ago, when she was sent to the U.S., she cried and begged him constantly not to send her away. Now that 4 years had passed, her studies were complete, and the ban on her return was lifted. Why did she still want to go back? The document the assistant sent next answered this question. Iris was getting married. The wedding date was tomorrow. Invitations had been widely distributed. Someone had actually spent over a dozen hours flying to the address on the invitation ahead of time, finding the wedding venue all set up, lacking only a bride. At the end of the file, there were even photos of the scene taken by that person. In the incredibly luxurious hotel, pink roselle roses were breathtakingly beautiful, utterly dreamy. At the entrance stood a standee with the wedding photo of the groom and bride. He would recognize that smiling face even if it burned to ashes. It was undoubtedly Iris' anger, shock, confusion, and helplessness. Various emotions surged in his heart. He stared blankly for a long time, looking over it again and again, trying to find proof of forgery, trying to comfort himself. No, I'm just seeing things. But no, he wasn't seeing things, and the wedding showed no signs of being fake. She was truly going to marry someone else. So the marriage she repeatedly mentioned this past month was real. Ethan suddenly remembered Iris's words again. Clearing out our memories and marrying someone else. Isn't this exactly what Uncle Ethan wants? Right? Isn't this what he wanted? She marries someone else, and he is going to marry someone else too. It was clearly logical, so why did he find it so hard to accept? After pondering for a long time, he finally made a decision. Buy me a ticket to the U.S. Make it fast as possible. 12 hours later, the U.S. Spencer waited at the airport for Iris, who returned alone. Looking at the empty space behind her, he understood but still couldn't hide the regret. Uncle Ethan didn't agree? She nodded and explained softly. I told him, but Uncle Ethan didn't believe me. Hearing this, he sighed. It's okay. I asked Madame Julia a while ago, and she was very happy to be our witness. Don't take it to heart too much. By the way, I've chosen our marital home. Shall I take you to see it? Iris nodded. Spencer took her suitcase. The car sped along and soon stopped in front of a villa. The house was decorated according to her taste, simple yet warm. Because the wedding was imminent, festive decorations were everywhere. Tell me if there's anything you don't like, and I'll change it. Hearing Spencer's words, she shook her head, her eyes filled with smiles. No, I like it all. The day's travel exhausted all of Iris's energy. Combined with the wedding being the next day, as soon as she got home, she fell asleep on the sofa without even changing her shoes. Spencer was somewhat amused and helpless. He gently carried her to the room. When taking off her shoes, he discovered the scabbed blood blisters on Iris's feet and instantly began to feel heartache again. Looking at her peaceful sleeping face, Spencer had mixed feelings, momentarily unsure if his decision to let her return alone was right or wrong. Spencer knew Iris's relationship with her uncle was complicated. While there might not be romantic feelings between them from Ethan's side, supposedly, Ethan had indeed raised her from 8 to 18 without any blood relation. During that decade, he did his best, worthy of being called extremely doting. But if talking about doting, how could he ignore her after 18? Just speaking of those shootings 4 years ago, if he hadn't happened to meet and save her, Iris might truly have lost her life back then. Spencer didn't know what misunderstanding lay between them, but he felt that if Ethan cared even a little, he wouldn't have let an 18-year-old Iris go abroad alone, never contacting her once in 4 years. Adding this time, Iris had only been back for a month, and she came back in this state. But it didn't matter. She still had him. The void she lacked would now be filled by him. When Iris woke up again, it was already 3 in the morning. She was still a bit groggy when pulled up for makeup. Since her original wedding dress was stolen, Spencer had someone custom make a new one. Layers of tulle piled up into a massive skirt. The off-shoulder design made her look innocent yet alluring. She sat there, eyes half closed due to lingering sleepiness, letting the makeup artist work on her face. While working, Iris could vaguely hear the makeup artist exclaiming, "Miss Carter, your skin is so good. You're beautiful even without makeup." She curled her lips in a responding smile. Amidst the group's chatting and laughing, the makeup look was soon completed. Done. As the makeup artist's voice fell, Iris opened her eyes and saw Spencer in the mirror, waiting behind her unbeknownst to her. He waved his hand, and the others quickly packed up and withdrew. Only the two of them remained in the dressing room. His gaze fell directly on her, the blunt love in his eyes suddenly making her feel a bit shy. "Why are you here?" Logically, he should be in the banquet hall greeting guests right now. Spencer stepped forward, bending down to loosely embrace her shoulders. The delicate touch from his fingertips was tingling, making him unable to resist moving his fingers. Only when he saw the tips of her ears turn from white to red did his laughing voice ring in her ear. "Because I missed you." Perhaps because he grew up in the US, although Spencer looked gentle and introverted on the outside, he was much bolder and freer in expressing love than the reserved people back home. He was never stingy about expressing his love to her, nor would he ever let her feel a lack of security. The redness on her ear tips hadn't faded. She turned her head and planted a light kiss on his cheek. Her brown eyes held a tiny reflection of him, always giving Spencer the feeling that he was her whole world. The warm, soft touch lingered. His eyes darkened slightly. He didn't move closer, but the hand holding her shoulder tightened. "The ceremony is starting soon. I'll take you there." He personally took the veil placed aside and put it on her. The veil didn't hide her appearance but added a hazy beauty to her. Holding hands, they walked out. Just as they pushed the door open, they met Spencer's parents looking for them. Seeing him, Spencer's mother spoke grumpily, "You sure know how to play tricks. As soon as the guests started entering, you hid away. I guess you definitely came to find Iris." Spencer's father chuckled, his eyes full of affirmation and appreciation. "Doesn't that just show how good the relationship is between Spencer and Iris? It's fine if we're a bit tired. Listen to yourself. One big, one small, neither behaves properly." The small interlude ended quickly. Amidst the priest's blessing and the slowly playing wedding march, the doors slowly opened. Iris walked toward Spencer on Spencer's father's arm. Pink and white rose petals fell like rain, the entire scene romantic and blissful. Spencer's father's eyes overflowed with satisfied smiles, deepening his wrinkles. But when he walked in front of Spencer, his expression became serious. "Brat, you stole someone else's daughter. Treat Iris well from now on. If you dare bully Iris, I won't let you off." "I will," Spencer promised solemnly. Everything went smoothly. Until the priest asked, "Miss Carter, do you take Mr. Sullivan to be your lawfully wedded husband, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health?" Iris looked at Spencer. Every bit of their 4 years together resurfaced in her mind. She smiled and was about to answer, I I object, the doors were slammed open. Ethan rushed in, panting, interrupting her "I do," and forcing her to swallow it back. The sudden change was like a stone thrown into a calm sea, stirring up waves. The guests present all buzzed with discussion, debating the identity of this uninvited guest. "Come with me." Ethan turned a deaf ear to all voices, charging straight for the center of the stage. Ignoring Iris's struggle, he grabbed her hand and tried to walk out. Spencer quickly blocked him, his gaze full of wariness and coldness. "Who are you? Why are you taking Iris away? Can't you see she doesn't want to go with you?" Blocked and stalled, Ethan looked Spencer up and down. The contemptuous and offensive gaze only made Spencer frown slightly. Ethan, however, after the scan, felt mixed feelings rising again. This man was undeniably handsome, with an extraordinary bearing. Most importantly, he was wearing a groom's suit tailored to fit perfectly, clearly a set with Iris's wedding dress. An emotion named jealousy surged in his heart, spreading like overturned vinegar. The hand holding Iris still didn't let go, but remembering his identity, he held his head slightly higher. "I am her family, her uncle." Ethan revealed his identity first, then turned to look at Iris, answering the second question by asking her, "Will you come with me?" He thought the answer was certain, but this time an accident occurred. Iris pried open his fingers, gripping her wrist one by one. After extracting her hand, she took a step back. When she looked at him, her eyes held an indifference that alarmed him. "I won't. Uncle Ethan, today is my wedding with Spencer. Why should I go with you? Why?" The answer was on the tip of his tongue but was ultimately suppressed by him. He was suddenly speechless. He opened his mouth several times but ultimately remained silent. What could he say? That the person she liked was clearly him, so how could she marry someone else? But he was her uncle. Even if not by blood, the fact that he raised her for 10 years couldn't be denied. Ethan couldn't act recklessly. He couldn't let her be trapped in a quagmire of gossip and abuse just because of his momentary impulse. Iris took another step back in his silence, maintaining a distant but polite attitude, and continued, "If Uncle Ethan is here to attend Spencer and my wedding, then we welcome you to take a seat. But if Uncle Ethan is just in a bad mood and here to cause trouble, then please leave." Ethan couldn't quite believe it. Was he being evicted? He stood in disbelief, but the cold look on Iris's face forced him to believe it. After a long while, he spoke hoarsely, asking for final confirmation, acting like a last struggle. "Are you really going to marry someone else?" Even seeing Iris standing beside another man in a wedding dress with his own eyes, Ethan still couldn't believe she had truly let go of the past and wanted to be with someone else. She had loved him for so many years, how could he believe this? But facts were facts. Iris nodded solemnly, as if taking a vow. Looking into his eyes, she was puzzled but never hesitant. "Yes, I love him. I am willing to marry him." This also served as a continuation of the answer interrupted by Ethan just now. Hearing this, Ethan's face instantly turned as pale as paper. His lips trembled and his eyes turned red. Pain like a knife cut spread from his heart. Iris saw his pain but didn't understand where it came from. She just called out to him again with emphasis, "Uncle Ethan, is there anything else?" In the end, Ethan failed to take Iris away. He sat in the guest seats, watching her exchange vows with another man, exchange rings, and finally kiss amidst cheers. His phone screen kept lighting up with Vanessa's name. He pretended not to see it, letting the call disconnect automatically again and ring again and again, until the phone ran out of battery and shut down automatically. Only then did he get a moment of peace. Ethan once thought he could bear all this. His wish used to be for Iris to let go of him, accept the love of someone her own age, and return to a normal track. For this, he didn't hesitate to cruelly send her to the US alone, not contacting her once in 4 years. Now everything had indeed gone as he wished. She was married to another man. The groom is handsome and the bride is beautiful. Talented and good-looking, truly a match made in heaven. Back in school, we heard about their love story and wondered when they would marry. I thought it would be soon, but didn't expect it to be this soon. Of course. Spencer chased his bride for 2 whole years before winning her over. Now that they're of age, he naturally wants to marry his sweetheart ASAP. Look at how his eyes are glued to her. He can't wait. People at his table watched the newcomers on stage walk hand in hand into the palace of marriage. Discussions arose, but all were words of blessing and envy. So their entanglement was already that deep. So they had been in love for 2 years. So she really had let go of him long ago. Ethan thought he should be happy. So he forced himself to pull a smile, but that smile was uglier than crying. Only at this moment did he realize he couldn't do it. He couldn't smile watching her let go of him. He couldn't remain indifferent seeing her marry someone else. The wedding ceremony ended. Iris went backstage alone to change her dress. Walking into the corridor, she was suddenly pulled into the stairwell by a huge force. She was startled. Her racing heart gradually calmed when she saw Ethan. "Uncle Ethan, do you need something?" Ethan didn't speak. His gaze fell on her lips, his eyes gradually becoming dark and deep. The stairwell was quiet enough to hear their intertwined breathing. Just as Iris was getting impatient waiting, he finally spoke. "What do you like about him?" Iris was stunned by this question. She felt it was strange but chose to answer patiently. "He treats me very well. I like him as a person. I like everything about him." Mentioning Spencer, Ethan actually heard happiness and satisfaction in her voice. Seeing the smile in her eyes, he felt bitter in his heart. Iris liked Spencer, so. What about him? Now in her heart, what was he? "You are my uncle, of course. Uncle Ethan, you raised me for 10 years. I am very grateful for your upbringing. No matter where I settle in the future, I won't forget that you raised me. And I'm also very happy you could come to my wedding today." She smiled gently, but within that gentleness was full distance. The current Iris was distant, completely lacking the intimacy and familiarity from before she was 18. She had grown into a complete adult and finally didn't need him anymore. He asked, "Why? Why love someone else? Why say he is just an uncle? Why marry someone else?" Iris tilted her head. Her clear eyes were involuntarily eye-catching. She opened her mouth, pulling him back from his fantasy. "Isn't this exactly what Uncle Ethan hoped for?" Silence fell in the stairwell again. Having waited a long time without a response, she prepared to turn and leave. Just as her hand touched the handle, Ethan's voice came from behind. She heard him say, "Iris, I regret it." This was the first time since she was 18 that Ethan called her by her nickname. His magnetic voice was hoarse, suppressed, and affectionate. She didn't look back, but the hand gripping the handle tightened. Iris wasn't a fool. From the moment Ethan panicked and broke into the banquet hall, she saw through his thoughts. Or rather, this wasn't the first time she noticed his feelings. The framed prayer beads, the extreme emotions whenever marriage was mentioned. If she wasn't sure before, the scene at the wedding today was enough to prove everything. Ethan Blackwood liked her too. Realizing this, Iris felt no joy at all, finding it somewhat tragic. She didn't know when Ethan started harboring such thoughts, but at least when he sent her out of the country, he already had and realized his feelings. But he held back, even sending her far away to a foreign country, not contacting her once in 4 years. If Ethan didn't love her, she could comfort herself that such feelings were too taboo and simply angered him. But he wasn't like that. He was just cowardly afraid to admit it, cowardly afraid to contact her, thinking this would cut off all future trouble. To make it more real, he even found a substitute. To this day, Iris finally figured out the strangeness of that day. Why Ethan, who was always shrewd and never worried his parents, would fall so hopelessly in love with Vanessa. It was just because of those eyes. She didn't feel moved, only ridiculous. Anticipating what he would say next, Iris let out a long breath. She pulled the door to leave, but a figure suddenly covered her. Gripping her hand with force, the door slammed shut with a bang. Hot breath sprayed on her neck. The familiar scent of sandalwood wrapped firmly around her as he approached. She wanted to dodge, but suddenly felt wetness on her shoulder and neck. Her body stiffened violently. An unbelievable guess flooded her heart. Turning back with difficulty, the guess in her heart was confirmed. Ethan was actually crying. The corners of his eyes were red, lips tight shut. As if suppressing for a long time, he still couldn't stop the tears from falling. Iris had never seen Ethan like this. She had seen him in high spirits, seen him invincible and decisive in the business world, seen him gentle and doting in front of her, shaking his head helplessly but trying his best to meet all her demands. She had seen his anger, indifference, and alienation later. But no matter what version of Ethan, he was always dignified and strong. Not like now, dejected and downcast. To say she wasn't touched would be a lie, but Iris always saw her own heart clearly. Just like 4 years ago when she was caught, she didn't think of denying it but stubbornly asked back, "We aren't related by blood, why can't I like you?" She knew very well that the person she loved now was Spencer Sullivan. Never wavered, so she spoke, breaking the silence of this moment. "But Uncle Ethan, I'm already married. Have you forgotten? You are too." "I have no intention of changing grooms." "Uncle Ethan, you told me yourself that the relationship between us would only be elder and junior, with no other possibility." She touched his hand, only to find he still had no intention of letting her go. Instead, he took a step closer, almost holding her entire body in his arms. "Iris, I regret it. I regret sending you away, regret being with Vanessa. Iris, I like—" Before he could finish, Iris quickly covered his mouth. She looked up, meeting his gaze directly. After a long time, she spoke softly. "Uncle Ethan, during those 4 years, you never contacted me on your own initiative. When I contacted you, you never answered. So you probably don't know that the first year I arrived in the US, I almost died there." Hearing this sentence, Ethan's body instantly stiffened. He widened his eyes, full of disbelief. Iris didn't look at his reaction, only narrating the memory sealed at the bottom of her heart. "Uncle Ethan, in the past I only wanted to stay by your side, so I knew nothing about living abroad. Being a newcomer in an unfamiliar place, life was very hard. And the US is really unsafe. Within just 2 months, I encountered 4 shooting riots. Gunshots, screams mixed together. I was squeezed in the crowd, having to guard against not only shootings but also stampedes. In the chaos, I couldn't even distinguish directions, let alone know where to hide. That was my first time facing death. Uncle Ethan, did you know? That bullet grazed my ear. Just a tiny bit more, and the best outcome would have been losing an ear. At that time, I called you, sent messages, constantly begging you to take me back. But from beginning to end, you never replied to me." She slightly lifted the hair by her ear. There lay a faint scar. Ethan felt his heart jumping just listening. He dared not imagine how desperate Iris must have been in such an environment. Over there, Iris continued. "The second time I encountered a shooting riot, I had a little experience. At least I knew which direction to run. But Uncle Ethan, I dodged the bullet, but not the crowd. It really hurt when they stepped on me. The third time I encountered a shooting riot, I sprained my ankle while escaping. That was the closest I came to death." She pointed to her chest. "Just a little bit more, and that bullet would have shot into my chest. If not for Spencer, I would have died there." Mentioning the past again, Iris actually wasn't that scared anymore, because she knew she survived every danger safely and met Spencer. He loved her very much and gave her everything she wanted. But the calmer she was, the more Ethan's heart ached. It was like countless sharp knives stabbing into his heart, twisting ruthlessly until he was bloody and could no longer breathe. A suffocating feeling like a tidal wave drowned him, making it hard to breathe. He covered his face with his hands, crying uncontrollably, only able to repeat, "I'm sorry," over and over. "Iris, I'm sorry, I really didn't know. I thought I was lying, trying to pester you, right?" Iris considerately finished the second half for him. Looking at his painful appearance, she sighed deeply. "Just like the month after I returned, you felt I hadn't let go of you and couldn't tolerate anyone else beside you. So no matter what happened, you only believed Vanessa, thinking I targeted her. Splashing milk was one thing, calling the police was another. Uncle Ethan, I just loved you once. Why did you decide I was unforgivably evil? Even my saying I was getting married was a mistake. Did you investigate even once? Uncle Ethan, in your heart, have you ever believed me once?" Ethan's expression froze looking at her. The things he was once absolutely certain of suddenly became full of holes in this moment. Right, 2 years ago Iris had already let go of him, and she had even decided to marry someone else when she returned. What reason did she have to target Vanessa? He opened his mouth, momentarily silent, not knowing what to say. After a long while, she turned to open the door and met Spencer's eyes standing outside the stairwell. A flash of panic crossed Iris's heart. The stairwell door wasn't soundproof. She didn't know when he had come over, nor how much he had heard. She was afraid he would misunderstand, afraid he would care about that past. Just as she was feeling uneasy, Spencer suddenly hugged her tight, his eyes full of heartache. "Irie, I'm sorry, I came late. I came late, didn't find you sooner, letting you suffer more harm. Sorry, I didn't accompany you home. letting you suffer so many grievances. Spencer, I don't blame you. The warm embrace soothed her somewhat fluctuating emotions. Iris leaned into his arms and shook her head, closing her eyes slightly. I'm tired. Will you carry me back? Spencer picked Iris up in his arms and turned to leave, not even glancing at Ethan behind them. Their posture was intimate and natural, movements familiar as if done thousands of times. Ethan felt a sharp sting in his heart, yet was powerless. It was his cowardice, his incompetence. The one who truly couldn't let go was him, yet he despicably pushed all responsibility onto Iris, adding all the pain to her. Now he could only watch helplessly as she walked toward someone else. He deserved it. Ethan even wished he could kill himself. But he couldn't. After realizing Iris couldn't have targeted Vanessa, everything presented another suspicious point. Vanessa didn't know about the emotional entanglement between him and Iris. He chose Vanessa for two reasons. One was that her eyes resembled Iris's, and the other was because she said she was good friends with Iris. But if Vanessa and Iris were really friends, why did she frame Iris? What did she do to drive Iris to call the police? He had to investigate clearly, know all the truth. Ethan finally calmed his emotions. He took out his phone and dialed his assistant's number. You have one day. Find out exactly what happened between Vanessa Grant and Iris from the moment they met until now. Every detail. I want to know everything. After speaking, he hung up and let out a deep breath. On the other end, the assistant looked at the pitch-black sky at 3 a.m, speechless. Fortunately, the assistant's work ability was exceptional. That afternoon, all the documents were sent over. At that time, Ethan had locked himself in the hotel. The heavy curtains blocked the light tightly. He slumped on the carpet by the bed, empty wine bottles at his feet. Greenish-black stubble covered his chin, his brows full of exhaustion and decadence. If anyone from the business world who had dealt with him were here, seeing him like this would probably drop their jaws. He couldn't help wondering, what would Iris be doing right now? Today was her wedding night with the man named Spencer Sullivan. Tonight, they would do all the intimate things a married couple would do. If he hadn't been cowardly and retreated back then, if he hadn't sent her to the US, would everything be different? Why couldn't he marry her? Just like she said back then, they weren't blood related. He wasn't her real uncle. If Iris's parents hadn't died, he would just be a brother 10 years older than her. If he could go back to the past, given another chance to choose, if he didn't fear rumors and gossip, would the person marrying her today, accompanying her for life, be him? He fell into a deep sleep in his drunken stupor, his consciousness seeming to cross time, going back to 4 years ago. That year, Iris was 18. Ethan woke from his sleep, his hand instinctively reaching for his wrist. There, a string of sandalwood prayer beads usually hung, but now it was empty. He didn't remember taking them off, so he guessed Iris was being playful, stealing the beads while he slept to hide them. At first, he didn't think much of it, just thinking that after finding them early, he could see her deflated expression, which would be very cute. He searched for a long time but didn't find the beads. He only found a diary. Ethan knew that even a child would have secrets, let alone an 18-year-old. He should have put the diary back and continued searching for the beads. But strangely, he still opened that diary. The diary recorded her girlish feelings. Besides curiosity, he felt a bit sentimental. The girl he raised for 10 years finally grew up and learned to love. He wondered which lucky brat it was. Then, on the next page, he saw his own name. Today, while he was asleep, I secretly kissed him. In that moment, I seemed to hear my heart pounding. I know this is wrong, but I really love him too much. Why does it have to be him? Ethan, if only you weren't my uncle. In that moment, he felt a thunderbolt hit him, a loud boom ringing in his ears. But what he found harder to accept was that upon seeing his name, a hidden pleasure rose in his heart. He couldn't accept such a result, so he stormed upstairs to her room furiously. Anger made him forget to knock. He pushed the door straight in and saw a scene he would never forget in his life. Iris sat by the bed with her back to him, putting the prayer beads he never took off into that mysterious territory one by one. The collision of abstinence and absurdity was too intense, stinging his eyes red. In reality, he exposed her in a rage, threw away the beads, sent her to the US, but later secretly picked the beads back up, framed them carefully, and hung them in the room he forbade Iris from entering. He looked around the room filled with various items. Dolls she abandoned, her exam papers, jewelry she inexplicably lost. Without exception, all related to her. Only at that moment did he suddenly realize that from the moment this room existed, he had harbored thoughts about her that he shouldn't have. But he was too cowardly and timid, actually blaming everything on her. So that year, he deliberately avoided her calls and messages. Those distress texts were treated by him as her intentional weakness to return to his side. He kept telling himself, "You can't be soft-hearted. You have to cut off all feelings in the bud." Also that year, he met Iris's friend, Vanessa. But in the dream, perhaps because he longed too much for another ending, he chose to withdraw from the room. Waiting until everything was over, she returned the beads. The washed beads carried a slight coolness, seeping into his bones through his wrist. The scene just now seemed right before his eyes. His breathing grew heavy. Finally, when she quietly kissed him again, he opened his eyes. Looking at Iris's panicked expression, he grabbed her, trying to run away, word by word. "I'll wait for you until you're 20. If your mind hasn't changed by then, we'll get married." Time flew by. Soon it was the year she turned 20. He asked for her heart again. Her love undiminished, she nodded firmly at him. "Uncle Ethan, I like you. I will never regret it." On her 20th birthday, they got their marriage license, and then he completely possessed her. The piercing alarm woke him from his sleep. He gasped for breath, unable to calm down for a long time. Casually grabbing his phone to turn off the alarm, he saw that his assistant had sent the information 5 hours ago. He pressed his temples. The headache from the hangover hadn't eased at all. Ethan clicked on the file and read 10 lines at a glance. But the more he read, the paler his face became. After a long time, the phone slid from Ethan's limp hand to the floor. He laughed mockingly, cursing himself for being a fool. How stupid was he to blindly trust someone's one-sided words? Look at his self-proclaimed profound actions. What stupid things did he end up doing? Sending Iris alone to a foreign country, ignoring her, causing her to almost die far from home several times, dating her so-called friend, thinking they could get along peacefully. In reality, the so-called friend was the bully who approached her in the name of friendship. Even in the month after Iris returned, Vanessa didn't let her go. Splashing hot milk on herself to frame Iris, she really could be ruthless to herself. As for the later part, since she liked stripping people's clothes in public and taking photos to humiliate them, then he would give her a taste of her own medicine. But before punishing Vanessa, he wanted to see Iris one more time. Thinking this, Ethan did exactly that. Iris didn't expect to see Ethan again so soon. Sitting face to face, they were somewhat speechless. She really didn't understand. What was the point of him doing this? "Uncle Ethan, is there something else you need?" She maintained a polite and distant attitude. But this distance pierced his heart deeply. His red eyes and rapidly heaving chest told of his inner turmoil. Disappointment filled his brow. He hesitated for a long time, still afraid to speak directly, only able to change direction. He asked, "Iris, I'm sorry. I didn't know Vanessa treated you like that in the past. I only thought you were friends, so I didn't think much of it. If I can handle her matters, would you be willing to forgive me and go back with me?" The cautious inquiry carried a tentative tone. Ethan placed himself in almost the lowest position. Looking at him, Iris was reminded of her past self. For years ago, she probably begged humbly like this, asking if he could be less heartless. At that time, his heart was full of the idea that she had committed an unforgivable mistake and couldn't be easily forgiven. No matter how she begged, he never relented, leaving her exiled abroad for 4 years. Iris didn't think about dragging him to sink into the past together, as that would be unfair to Spencer. But at this moment, she couldn't help thinking, if she refused, would it make him taste the pain she felt back then? So, she shook her head. "Uncle Ethan, I'm married. Our family and careers are in the US. We have no reason to go back." A simple sentence plunged like a sharp knife into his chest. Drilling pain spread from his heart. He hurt so much his lips turned pale, pressed into a tight line. After a long while, he spoke bitterly. "Iris, must it be like this between us? Could they not be like before, familiar and intimate, instead of strange and distant? Uncle Ethan, I'm just doing as you wished. You personally caused the separation back then. Now I have married someone else just as you wished. Uncle Ethan, I don't understand why you keep coming to me now. What for? You can't possibly want me to divorce and leave with you, right?" The answer was lightly thrown out by her. For a moment, Ethan even thought, why not? As long as she was willing, he could marry her. As long as she was willing, he could take her anywhere she wanted to go. But coming back to his senses, looking into Iris's eyes that seemed to see through everything, he suddenly fell silent. Anyone could say that sentence, except him. It was he who left her first. It was he who didn't want her first. The transparent glass was tapped. Iris looked over. Spencer stood outside, pointing at his phone. She looked down. Sure enough, there was a new message on the screen. Not much time left before the flight. Do you want to continue chatting? If so, I'll reschedule. Iris chuckled, looking at the message. Of course she knew he was doing it on purpose. But she didn't mind these little tricks to compete for attention. She even enjoyed them. So she looked up at Ethan again. Uncle Ethan, do you have anything else? If not, we have to catch a plane. Ethan followed them to the airport, but Iris and Spencer were going on their honeymoon while he was returning to the home country. Accumulated official duties squeezed together. When he hurried back to the group, various documents were about to drown him. Vanessa knocked on the door and walked in. Seeing him, her face instantly lit up with a smile. Her smooth arms familiarly linked with his, her soft body leaning infinitely close to act coquettishly. Ethan, why did you take so long to come back? I missed you so much during this time. You left me home alone for so long. You have to make it up to me. It was clearly the same mode of getting along as before, but now Ethan inexplicably felt a bit uncomfortable. He looked at her impassively and suddenly asked, Did you take a wedding dress from Iris a while ago? Yes, why? Vanessa nodded, puzzled. After asking, a matter suddenly popped into her mind. That wedding dress wasn't really given to her by Iris after persuasion, but because she used some means. It had been so long, why did Ethan suddenly mention this? Did he meet Iris on this business trip, and she told him something? But if he believed Iris, how could he have canceled the police report back then? Just as Vanessa was feeling fearful, Ethan suddenly spoke. You can keep that dress safe. Our wedding is coming up soon. On that day, I will definitely prepare a big surprise for you. Vanessa didn't expect the surprise to come so quickly. When Iris first left, whenever she saw Ethan's abnormality, she always felt uneasy, fearing he would regret it. Hearing Ethan mention the wedding again personally, she finally relaxed. Don't worry, I've kept it safe. That was Iris's favorite dress after all. I will definitely wear it and become the most beautiful bride. Vanessa blushed and leaned close to him again, snuggling tightly into his arms. She raised her tender hand to stroke his chin, the clear, bony feeling bringing pity to her eyes. Ethan, you must have been tired lately. You've lost weight. Ethan shook his head, smiling gently, not answering her question. Vanessa didn't notice his abnormality at all and leaned gently into his arms again. Therefore, she didn't see the flash of ruthlessness on Ethan's face resting above her head. Iris and Spencer's honeymoon was set in the Maldives. Being peak season, the beach was gathered with couples either on family trips or honeymooning like them. Not long after the two arrived at the beach, Iris's phone suddenly lit up. She looked down. It was a notification from Vanessa's social feed. 8th of next month, I'm getting married. Everyone is welcome to my wedding discussions, buzzed in the comments section, congratulations endless. Iris looked at the comment section that had built up dozens of floors in just a few minutes, and the well-defined hand in the photo, curling her lips in a mocking arc. Fortunately, she didn't choose to believe him again. Irie, what's wrong? Noticing Iris's distraction, Spencer brought 2 ice creams over and handed one to her. Here, your favorite strawberry flavor. She shook her head and took a bite of the ice cream. The sweet strawberry taste burst in her mouth, completely dispelling the shadow in her heart. Thank you. Blue sky, white clouds, the sea, and her lover by her side. Iris squinted in satisfaction. Having these was enough. As for others, whoever they were, whatever they wanted to do, it had nothing to do with her. Meanwhile, on the other side, the wedding was being prepared in full swing. Most expensive venue, fresh flowers shipped from abroad, jewelry worth over $100 million won at auction. Many people were secretly watching this unprecedentedly grand wedding. Some busybodies even started calculating the cost of this wedding from start to finish. Vanessa momentarily became the most envied person in everyone's eyes. She was lifted higher and higher by everyone's compliments. Ethan treated her better and better. Days passed. The attention on this wedding grew higher. Finally, amidst everyone's eager anticipation, the wedding arrived as scheduled. In the largest hotel in the capital, decorations everywhere revealed luxury and the high regard for the bride's side. Celebrities of the business world gathered. In the banquet, there were even many reporters holding cameras shooting everywhere, discussing this wedding that had attracted much attention from the start. I heard before that Ethan Blackwood cared a lot about this girlfriend, but I really didn't expect him to go to this extent for a woman. Exactly. Before this woman appeared, it seems we never heard of President Blackwood caring so much about anyone. I heard he had a little niece before, spoiled to the heavens by him. But later, for some reason, she was suddenly sent abroad by him, and feelings faded a lot. Speaking of which, this little girlfriend seemed to appear around that time. Amidst everyone's discussion, the MC stood on stage following the flow. Ethan, in a white suit, stood on stage, the center of attention. All procedures went very smoothly. When the bride entered, Vanessa wore a satin mermaid wedding dress, holding Richard Grant's hand as she walked toward Ethan. Richard Grant smiled sycophantically, handing Vanessa's hand to Ethan. The segment supposed to be for instructing the groom was turned by him into a lecture for his daughter. After marriage, you must restrain your temper. You can't be as unrestrained as at home. From now on you are a Blackwood. Listen to President Blackwood, don't throw tantrums, understand? Also, be filial. Remember not to make President Blackwood angry. Your belly needs to live up to expectations too. Give birth to a big fat grandson for President Blackwood soon. Spread branches and leaves for the Blackwood family. The rambling words made the smile on Vanessa's face stiffer and stiffer. If not for thinking today was her big day, she really wanted to throw a fit and walk away. But looking at Ethan opposite her, she forcibly swallowed those enjères. Enduring impatience to send her father away, she couldn't help but think of the video circulating wildly online recently. It was Iris's wedding with another man. Clearly an orphan with no parents, even the person giving her away had to be the groom's parent, yet at the wedding, they gave Iris enough face. Unlike her. Clearly with her biological father, yet scolded by him in front of so many people at the wedding. Jealousy and hatred intertwined in her heart, showing a bit of distortion on her face. Ethan took her expression into his eyes, showing no flaw on his face. Only waiting for her to drive Richard Grant away herself did he reach out to her, smiling warmly. But it made a trace of strangeness rise abruptly in her heart. The strange feeling from after Iris went abroad appeared again. But she didn't think much, just gently placed her hand in his. The MC practiced smoothing things over. Seeing the couple ready, just as he was about to start the next step, several burly men suddenly rushed out from below the stage. The men ran straight toward the stage. Vanessa turned back amid screams. Realizing the men's target was her heart skipped a beat. She screamed, wanting to seek Ethan's protection. Turning around, she found he had somehow appeared 5 meters away from her. The ominous premonition came true. Vanessa's heart sank to the bottom. She could only run in panic, her voice trembling. "Who are you? I don't know you, and I have no grudge against you. Why are you staring at me?" But how could she, a pampered young lady, outrun those sturdy men who looked like they exercised constantly? Running only 2 steps, she was pinned to the ground. Stinking BTCH, keep running, countless calloused hands roamed over her body, tearing down the dress on her while cursing with filthy language. "Don't do this. I was wrong. Spare me. I have money. I'll give you money. Spare me, okay?" Pinned to the ground and stripped, Vanessa was both ashamed and angry. She tried her best to keep her last dignity, but it was all in vain. Even more excessively, someone got lustful midway, rough hands lingering constantly on her guarded private areas. The group stripped her clothes and left. Only when the crowd dispersed did onlookers realize these people didn't leave her even a piece of clothing to cover her body. Red marks covered her snow-white body, carrying a broken sense of being ravaged. She curled into a ball, fragile and helpless. If the hotel security hadn't arrived to drape a jacket over her, no one present had even reacted to cover her after all. Even her own husband hadn't made a move. What is going on? Why did security only arrive now? Don't know who this bride offended to be treated so miserably at her wedding. Speaking of which, it's strange. How could such people enter such a big hotel? But making such a scene, can this wedding go on? Finally having a jacket to cover herself, Vanessa felt mortified. She listened to others' discussions with a trembling body, her pitiful gaze looking toward Ethan standing in the corner. Confusion and questioning were about to blurt out. Why? Why humiliate her like this? If Vanessa couldn't detect it at first, how could she not detect it now? He staged such a grand wedding not to spoil her, but to make her lose face in front of more people. Otherwise, those people couldn't have entered the hotel at all, and hotel security absolutely couldn't have waited until those people retreated safely before appearing. But Vanessa didn't understand. They were clearly fine. Why did he suddenly do this? Everyone followed her gaze to the corner, only then realizing Ethan had been there all along. Discussions stopped abruptly. People looked at each other, feeling more and more unable to understand Ethan Blackwood. The next second, his figure moved, walking toward Vanessa with everyone's gaze. Feeling aggrieved, he squatted in front of her, gently wiping tears from the corner of her eye. His voice was very light, almost only audible to her. Then, in everyone's sight, he took out a handkerchief to wipe his fingers and ruthlessly threw it away. Vanessa watched the handkerchief fall. Its light weight landed on her heart like a boulder, smashing her heart to pieces. She looked blankly at the handkerchief and spoke, tears gathering in her eyes. "Why? This is what you owe Iris." His tone was calm but bone-chillingly cold, making her spine shiver. "Don't you like stripping others' clothes in public? I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine. How is it? Does it feel good?" As Ethan's voice came, a familiar memory flooded her mind. Vanessa's face instantly turned a few shades paler. She stiffly avoided his gaze, still playing dumb, daring not to admit it. But he just smiled, not taking it to heart. It didn't matter if she admitted it or not. He already knew the truth. What was needed was just her punishment. Then he turned around, his face full of indifference and ruthlessness. "Vanessa Grant is a habitual bully. This is retaliation from a victim's family. The Blackwood family will not accept a wife who takes pleasure in bullying others. The engagement between the two families is annulled as of today." With that, he turned and left, walking briskly without pausing once. The guests present looked at each other. Vanessa cried red-eyed, wanting to get up and stay him, but had to stop due to her wretched state. Not long after, all guests dispersed. Richard Grant came up with a dark face holding clothes, slapping her fiercely. "A golden son-in-law in hand, and you let him get away. How did the Grant family raise such a fool? With so many dignitaries and reporters present today, how will the Grant family gain a foothold in the capital in the future? Tomorrow I will hold a press conference. From now on, the Grant family disowns you as a daughter." With that, he also turned away hatefully. In an instant, only Vanessa was left in the lobby. Being surrounded and complimented not long ago, in the blink of an eye, she became betrayed by all. Tears falling rapidly ruined her makeup, making her look even more wretched. But Vanessa was unwilling. Why was she the only one notorious? Since they wanted to drive her to extinction, don't blame her for fighting to the death. She carefully held her clothes and went to the changing room to change. With a heart full of revengeful pride, she found the phone she left in the changing room, clicking into the gallery to search. But soon, she realized something was wrong. The video was gone. Vanessa unbelievably scrolled through the gallery from beginning to end. But no, the photos and videos taken to humiliate Iris back then, not a single one remained. They had all inexplicably disappeared. She searched again unwillingly, but no matter how many times, she never saw those photos and videos again. Determining that those things were deleted even from backups, Vanessa smashed the phone out in frustration. Turning out of the hotel, she found news about her overwhelming everywhere. This bride was treated so miserably at the wedding. Why did no one stop it? Because she bullied others habitually and didn't change. She was still bullying others and got retaliated against. Even President Blackwood, who was heard to love her very much, broke off the engagement directly. Seeing her gentle and submissive appearance beside President Blackwood before, who would have thought she was such a person? Truly, you can't judge a book by its cover. Sighs and exclamations rang in her ears. Vanessa's footsteps suddenly paused, hatred surging in her heart. Iris. It's all Iris's fault. Everything started because of her. If not for her, none of this would have happened. If not for her, she wouldn't have ended up so miserably at the wedding. Why didn't she die? Why didn't she die? Vanessa was immersed in her own world, eyes vicious, face distorted. She completely failed to notice the surrounding crowd had recognized her, showing expressions of disgust and resistance, starting to stay away from her. In just a moment, a tight encirclement formed around her, yet staying a meter away. When she came back to her senses and realized something was wrong, it was already too late. Curses, thrown stones, and quite a few punches and kicks landed on her in the chaos. Vanessa fled in a sorry state. The more she ran, the more resentment in her heart. Unknown time passed. The crowd finally dispersed, revealing Vanessa shivering in the corner. Blood slid down her forehead. The ferocious wound looked particularly terrifying. Her face covered in blood and dirt made her look even paler. Passers-by occasionally saw her wretched state and felt pity, but upon seeing clearly who it was, they backed away cursing bad luck. People came and went on the street. She truly fulfilled the saying of being betrayed by all. Iris only learned the whole story after returning from her honeymoon a month later. Looking at Vanessa's wretched state in the news report, she couldn't raise any emotion of schadenfreude. She closed the news page. The overhead light cast a shadow under her eyelashes. She remained silent for a long time until a warm hand held her hand hanging by her side, fingers hooking hers. She looked sideways to see Spencer's gentle eyes, seeming to tell her, "It's okay. Whatever you choose, I will be by your side." Iris stared at his face and suddenly smiled. Looking back at the man sitting opposite her, her tone returned to normal when asking, "You came to find me just for this?" Ethan took their interaction into his eyes, his heart bitter. Regret surged in his chest. He questioned himself more than once. Why were you so cowardly back then? If you could have been braver, the person sitting beside her now, relied upon wholeheartedly by her, could have been you. Unfortunately, there were never ifs in this world. He wasn't brave enough, so he could only miss out with regret, watching his beloved walk toward someone else. He took out an exquisitely wrapped gift box from his side and gently pushed it in front of her. Seeing her puzzled look, he explained, "This wedding dress was designed by you for yourself. It is your heart's blood. I apologized for letting Vanessa take it before, so now I return it to its original owner." Iris didn't take it, didn't even open it to look. He suppressed the sourness and bitterness surging from his heart. Pausing, he continued, "Just sorry, it was somewhat damaged during retrieval, so I took the liberty to modify it a little. Just consider it my selfishness, wanting to leave a trace belonging to me by your side." Voice falling, he looked at Iris with hidden hope, expecting her to open the box, at least take a look, then keep it. But she was silent for a long time and still just shook her head. "Uncle Ethan, I've already married. I have no plan to marry a second time, and I don't need a wedding dress worn and modified by someone else anymore." Holding Spencer's hand, she stood up. Picking up the gift box with the other hand, she walked to the large trash can outside the store and threw the wedding dress along with the box into it without hesitation. Not long after, Ethan's phone beeped. "Uncle Ethan, today, just pretend we never came and never had this conversation. From now on, you are still my uncle and nothing more." 2 short sentences cleared her relationship with him. Ethan remained sitting in place, staring at the trash can for a long time, unable to recover. Thoughts drifted far away. He remembered the past again. The first time Ethan saw Iris was when he was 10. The Blackwood and Carter families were old friends. He was the youngest son of the Blackwood family, of the same generation as Iris's father. His parents were getting old, so he spent much time being taken care of by Iris's parents. When Iris was born, he waited outside the delivery room with Iris's father, waiting for a long time until Iris's mother and a pink little dumpling were pushed out. She lay quietly in the crib blowing bubbles. Poke her cheek, the bubble burst and she cried loudly. Truly a delicate little crybaby, he thought. But he really wanted to steal her home, hide her, give her the best of everything, let no one bully her, hurt her. Never let her cry again in the future. When she was 18, his dream came true. He took her home at her parents' funeral, gave her everything, filled everything she needed. He thought, how good would it be if it could go on like this forever? But all peace was broken when he was 28. He became the one who hurt her deepest. Later, she found someone she wanted to spend her life with in a foreign land. This time, really no one could hurt her anymore, including him. Everyone was moving forward slowly with time. Only he was left in place. Ignored, forgotten, finally swallowed by memories. Back to reality, his beloved interlaced fingers with someone else, walking side by side, occasionally smiling at each other like a match made in heaven. They would walk on like this forever and ever, leaving him with only that one sentence, "Uncle Ethan, just pretend I never came."